Hello everyone again and welcome to my channel. In this video I will explain how to make our crocheted pistachio scarf. Let's take a closer look at our scarf. It is a very stylish and beautiful model. There will be those who remember it before. I shared the beret making process with you in detail. I will add the link to the description of our video. You can reach it by clicking below. I use such a flower detail for my scarf, but if you want, you can also add tassels or decorate it with different accessories. It turned out to be a very easy to make and very beautiful and stylish set. You can knit and prepare such a set very easily in a day or two. I also shared the making of our scarf, flower making and assembly with you in detail. I hope it will be useful. Let's move on to our recipe. Yes, I will now work with you on the scarf model of the model that Barris worked on before. Look, I have shared the making of this in detail with you before. I will add the link to the description of our video. You can reach it by clicking there. I am putting my beret aside like this. Yes, now we will work in a straight line. I will use the axoft of the snowball again. There will be a number 3 on my hook. We will start by making a chain. If there are any beginners among us, I have shared a detailed video that shows how to make a chain with a double banister. I will add the link to the description of our video. You can reach it by clicking there. We are making our chain. Our first chain becomes a lock. We will not count this. I am pulling my chains by passing my thread through the loop formed. When starting, I definitely keep my hand a little loose. If you pull very tight chains, this will gather the bottom part look as loose as possible. I create my chains in this way by keeping my hand a little loose. For example, you can work a scarf, you can work a blanket. Depending on the product you will make, you pull your chains too much, or in multiples of 3. You continue by counting. It consists of multiples of 3. But I will not count my chain now to explain the model to you. It is easier for me to do it this way. Because when creating our row, we will first create our cages with tight stitches. So by counting the spaces, we will see how many double peanuts there are here at the first point. Now I have pulled my chain enough. Look, I am leaving the last chain, but if you want to count, it will be formed as 3 and multiples of 3 and plus 1, we will pull a chain for the return. Now I am leaving the first chain, that is 3 and multiples of 3 plus 1. The last chain I pulled here, I left it. I am sinking directly into the next chain. I took out a loop. I had 2 loops. I wrapped them. I passed the thread through the 2 loops that were formed. I made a tight stitch. I'm inserting into the next point. I took out this loop. There are 2 loops. I wrapped it. I created my tight stitch by passing the yarn through the 2 loops that were formed. I made 2 tight stitches like this. I am pulling a chain now. I skip a chain from one chain down, that is, I leave a gap and I insert myself into the next chain. I make a loop and I make a tight stitch. Good. Look, our space will have 2 peanuts in this space. After making the tight stitch, I insert the needle into the next chain. I took out a noose. I do frequent needles. There were 2 single crochets. Look, there were 2 single crochets at the beginning. A space of 1 chain, 2 single crochets, now 1 chain again. I'm jumping 1 space from the bottom, so I'm jumping 1 chain. I'm sinking to the next point. Single crochet. I insert a chain into the next point. I make my second single crochet. After 2 single crochets, I leave a chain and a space and insert the next one. And I'm knitting my single crochet. I'm knitting my 2 single crochets. Look, when I hold it like this, the gaps are visible. We made 1, 2, 3 1 chain gaps. So how many peanuts you're going to make here are doubles. Look how many double peanuts you're going to make. I'm 2, 4, 6 here. I made 7 peanuts for my scarf. 7 peanuts were enough for me, for the scarf. But when you think of it as a blanket, you can make more. For this, we will increase the 1 chain spaces here. How many do you want to make? I make a chain. After 2 single crochets, I leave a space and insert it into the next chain. 2 single crochets again. Here when I started I said 3 and multiples of 3, but as I said you don't have to worry about counting chains, you don't waste time. For example, you make enough chains for a blanket, scarf, etc. If there is more like this, you can cut it out at the end or remove it by unraveling. Look, what is really important here is the 1 chain gaps. Here and there will be 2 single crochets at the beginning. We will finish with 2 single crochets and there is a 1 chain space in between. Our model is like this. Look, I started with 2 single crochets, 1 chain space, 2 single crochet spaces, 2 single crochet spaces. This way I have made room for 1, 2, 3 or 4 peanuts. I finished with 2 single crochets. Now this is enough for me. Look, I will remove the excess later. Now we made 2 single crochets. Finally. And now I went up by pulling 1, 2, 3 chains and I turned my knitting. I am filling in the beginning of my hook. Look, we will work directly into the 1 chain gaps here. We will work by inserting into these points. It is such an easy model. It is also very enjoyable to make, and it is finished very quickly. I made 3 chains. I wrapped it around the beginning of my hook. I am inserting into the 1 chain gap. I take out a loop and extend my loop as much as I push it. I repeat this process 3 times. I wrapped it. I am inserting into the same gap again. I extended the loop. I wrapped it again by inserting into the same gap and extending the loop. I did this process 3 times, but if you want it to be fuller, you can do it 5 times. You can do it 4 times. If your yarn is different, you can do it more. In other words, you can fill it as much as you want, depending on its thickness. 3 was enough for me. After filling my peanut 3 times, I wrapped my yarn around the beginning of my hook. I passed the yarn I wrapped through all the loops on my hook at once and made 1 chain. I made a lock. I'm filling up after a chain. Look, I'm sinking into the same space again. I'm sinking into the same space here. I'm taking out a loop and extending it. 1, I wrapped it. I'm sinking into the same space. 2, I wrapped it. I'm sinking into the same space. 3. I filled my peanut 3 times like this. I fill it around the beginning of my hook. I pass the yarn I wrapped through the loops formed all at once. I'm making 1 chain. And look, I filled my double peanut in the same space like this. I wrapped it around the beginning of my hook. I'm here. Look at the next 1 chain space. We'll work directly on these points. I'm making 2 peanuts like I did here. 1. I wrap 2 or 3 of them around each peanut, collecting them all at once and pulling a chain. I wrap them around the same hole again, wrapping them around 1 or 2. I wrapped it 3 times and I'm pulling a chain by gathering it at once. Look, there's no extra chain at the moment. I'm not pulling an extra chain. There's only 1 chain. That's all the closing chain is. But you can also pull 2 chains, but this time, let me show you like this. These gaps in between, it will be wider. I think 1 chain is enough. You will notice this when you knit. But if your yarn is very tight, you can pull it twice. I pulled a chain at this point. You can pull an extra chain. I fill it at the beginning of my hook. I sink into the next 1 chain gap, and I fill my 2 peanuts immediately. A chain, 1. I closed and wrapped a chain. Now let's show it once more slowly. Look, we have come to the last chain part. I wrapped, I sink, I extended, I wrapped, I sink, I extended, I wrapped, I sink and extended. I repeated this process 3 times. I am filling, I am pulling a chain by collecting it at once. I am making a lock. I wrap that point. I repeat the same process. I wrap 123. I pull a chain by collecting it at once. I am filling the beginning of the hook. The last single crochet here, let's remember, we knitted 2 single crochets at the beginning. Look at the point where the last single crochet is here. I am sinking. I pulled out a stitch. I wrapped them together again. I pulled them together. Did I tire the double treble crochet by pulling them together? We will definitely apply this process every time at the end. But we only slipped in a single crochet in the first row. I will share it with you again immediately in the next row. We go up with 1, 2, 3 chains and turn my knitting. See, our peanut row has formed. The spaces we will work from now on are every time. Look at the 1 chain gap between 2 peanuts. We will work in the middle of 2 peanuts each time. Then our peanuts will appear like this. After 3 chains I wrapped it. Look, I sank into the gap between 2 peanuts. I am filling 2 peanuts. I created my peanut by piercing 3 times. I drew a chain and closed it. I knit my second peanut in the same space. I closed it by piercing 3 times and locked it with a chain. I came around the next double peanut. Look at the middle of the double peanut. Let me show you. It will be understood more clearly. Now I am making 2 peanuts at this point in the middle of the next double peanut. Let me do it a little faster because I shared it with you in detail below. I am making it right away. The chain is continuous from now on. We will continue working by making 2 peanuts in the space between the 2 peanuts. Look at the point where my last double peanut is. I'm sinking into this middle part too. And again in the same space, a 1, 2, 3. I closed my whistle, I pulled a chain. Now here is the point I will sink. Look, while finishing here we had made a double crochet in the point where the last single crochet was while finishing. Now here I am filling the beginning of the hook again. We will definitely make our double crochet at the ends so that our side posts are formed. Look. We went up here by pulling 3 chains. Here I'm directly sinking into the wide gap here where there are 3 chains with the peanut. I'm not bothering to sink into an extra chain. I am sinking into the wide gap here. I made a loop. I am knitting a double crochet. I wrap them together. I turn my knitting by pulling 1, 2, 3 chains together again. I fill it again by sinking into the space between the 2 peanuts that come. I am making 2 peanuts. I closed a chain. I showed it in detail below. Let's complete this row quickly. After that I knitted the scarf. Let's finish our scarf together. Now look, there are only 2 pieces left. It will be finished very quickly. It looks very nice. It looks very long. It is very soft. If you are going to make a blanket, especially if it is your first time, you should definitely try this model. The blanket will be wonderful with such soft yarns. And I'm doing the last part. I closed it in the same spaces too. I pulled a chain, I wrapped it around the beginning. Look, there's another chain, there's a closing here, I wrapped it around. I came here, there was a 3 chain space with peanuts. Look, I'm sinking into the wide space and knitting a double crochet. I'm knitting both together, then I'm turning again with 1, 2, 3 chains and continuing the same process. This is what our model is all about. As I said, you can work great blankets, scarves like this and that with this. This is what our model is all about. So you can work a vest, a jacket with this. I worked on a beret. I'll leave the link in the description below. You can also make a beret. It's a very nice pattern that you can adapt in many places. Now, after sharing this pattern with you, look, I knitted my scarf. I made 7 here. So I made 2, 4, 6, 7 peanuts. I hid my rope here too. This is the beginning of the skirt part. You can make it according to the person you want to make it. I made 7. You can make more or less. It doesn't matter how many rows there are. You can make the length as long as you want. Now we'll finish it here. Look, the finish is like this. There is no extra process. If you want to attach a tassel, you can skip it and attach a tassel after you finish, but I'm going to make a set like this. Look, I worked 3 flowers on my beret. I'm going to put 3 flowers on the ends of this scarf so that it matches my beret. Here it is now. I had pulled 3 chains. I'm doing the last double banister. Look again. I wrapped it around the beginning of my hook. There is a wide space between the peanut and the 3 chains. I slipped in here. I knitted a double crochet. I pull a chain and tighten it. I cut my rope enough. I took it out of my loop. After tightening it well, I passed my rope through the appropriate spaces. Peanuts are very suitable for this point. To hide the rope. If you want to get bored at this point, you can also draw a chain like this. This is a very practical method. It is also quite sturdy. Now I'm hiding it from here. I hid it like this. I hid my rope and completed it like this. Look, the ending was like this. At the beginning, let me show you like this. The beginning is like this and the end is like this. Now I will make these end parts flowers. Actually, I shared how to make them before, but for those who don't want to go back and watch, I mean right here. Look, I will share with you how to make our flowers right away. I am using the Cartapone Axoft again from my flower. Again, we start by making the same magic ring with a number 3 hook. I have previously shared a detailed video on how to make a magic ring. I will add the link to the description section of our video. You can reach it by clicking there. This is how I create my magic ring. And I pull my 1, 2, 3 chains. I wrap it around the head of the hook. After 3 chains, we make peanuts by sinking in the magic ring. I wrapped 1, wrapped 2, wrapped 3, wrapped 4. I repeated this process 14 times. I wrap it around the head of the hook. I collect my peanut by passing the thread I wrap through the loops formed, and I pull 1, 2, 3 chains. I sink into the magic ring again. I took off the loop. I took it off. I slipped the loop through the other, and then I went up again with another 2, 3 chains. I wrap it around the head of the hook. I do the same as the peanut I did at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 times I filled and wrapped my peanut. I pass the thread through all the loops, and I pull 1 chain, 2, and 3 chains like this. And I slipped into the magic ring and made a loop. I slipped it from my other loop, and I go up again with 3 chains, and I create my peanut by sinking 4 times, 2, 3, and 4. I close my peanut and pull 1, 2, 3 chains and sink into the magic ring again and make a slip. I go up with 1, 2, 3 chains, and I create the peanut by sinking 4 times in this way, closing it and pulling 1, 2, 3 chains. Did I sink into the magic ring? Did I slip the stitch? I went up with 1, 2, 3 chains. I am making a total of 5 leaves. Look, do I want to narrow the magic ring a little so that I can knit more easily? Now I am filling 4 again. I closed it. I pulled my 1, 2, 3 chain. I sank into the magic ring. I pulled out a loop. I slid it from my dirly loop. After this sliding process, I stretched my loop a little here. I pull the short rope left from the magic ring as far as I can. Look, I gathered it well. I gathered it tightly. I had stretched my loop here. It is on my hook. Now I am cutting my yarn here enough. I cut it. Now I am taking the yarn that I pulled from the magic ring. I stretch my stitch here. I wrap this short yarn, the short yarn from the magic ring, around the head of my hook. I'm pulling it through this stitch. Look. Then I pull the string that is attached to my loop. I'm going to pull this one too. I'm pulling like this. There's a knot here. Now I'm tightening these two. I'm taking the back part like this. So it's really easy to assemble. I have 2 ropes like this. Look, this will not come loose because it is a knot here. It is quite strong. Finally, I knitted it with my hand like this. The smooth flat part is the part where the chains are visible. Look at the back of the part like this. Both sides can be used, whichever you like. I like this one more. Now we have prepared our flower like this. Look at these flowers. This is like this. I have prepared this green. This is yellow. I worked in a pink shape, as you can see on my beret. This one like this, another one on the tip here. Look at the other flowers too. I'm going to work diagonally like this to the other end. In this way, I will have completed the scarf and beret set. Now I will share with you how I will assemble it. Look at the skirt part. This is the flat part, this is the beret. As you can see from the skirt part, this is the starting part. Yes, now I will mount the big ones at this point. Look how I will mount them. There are 2 suitable gaps. I will pass one through one gap and the other through another gap and tie a knot. It is very easy. You see this team. You can work higher. I look at these 2 and 3 points like this. Look here. First, I put the end of my rope in the middle of the peanut and take it out from here. Then look, I pass it through the other point, through the other space. I take the other end out from here. I took the rope out like this. Then I'll just tie a knot. I'll tie a tight knot. Look, it disappears in the rope. It disappears among the peanuts. It is enough to tie a knot 3 times or 4 times. It does not matter. After you believe that it is solid, you can tie it twice. I tie tight knots and knot my rope once more. I'm going to cut it off here. I'm cutting my rope from the bottom like this. I am cutting carefully so that the rope is not visible and also so that I do not damage the peanuts here. Look like this. I assembled it very easily. It is not visible from the back at all why those chains will be hidden between the peanuts. Now I will assemble my other colors in the same way to the points I want. I will place one on this end and the other 3 flowers on the other end diagonally, and I will have completed my scarf in this way. Yes, I completed my scarf in this way. It turned out like this set. It turned out quite stylish and beautiful. I hope you like it and try it. I wish ease in advance to those who will do it. Don't forget to like our video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye until we see each other in the next video.